Can you first of all say who you are and what you do at the company?
Yeah, I'm Erwan Le Breton. I'm the creative director of the Might and Magic brand for Ubisoft.
Okay. To start off with, the Might and Magic has got a long history behind it. How do you go about creating new characters like you have done in this latest expansion?
Basically, what we looked at the past when we inherited the IP in 2003. We tried to define, with the help of the fans, because we were not so knowledgeable as they are about the old universe, what were first the soul of the series, so the things that we wanted to catch and to retain for the future Might and Magic games. The emblematic creatures or races, we call them factions, but that's basically nations or races, and characters. So there were a couple of characters like Sandro, Crackhack, who appear in the adventure packs or the standalone expansion, who have been in various Might and Magic games, sometimes with different backstories, different portraits even, but they are like eternal champions of the Might and Magic universe, and so we want them also in our games. But the first step when we inherited the license was to say there seem to be different worlds, different settings for the Might and Magic games. Sometimes it's called Xeen, or sometimes Terra, sometimes Axioth. So different worlds, and there seemed to be some continuity, but we don't understand it really. We haven't played all the games, so we don't know for sure. If we try to pick one of these worlds and make it our own, we have the risk that fans will spot mistakes, or that we betray the original vision of the creators. So we decided instead to create a brand new world that we call Ashan, that is really the common setting of all our Might and Magic games. It shares some similarities with the ancient universe, creatures, legendary heroes, the fact that the world is organized into various factions, Inferno, the demons, Haven, the Knights of the Holy Empire, Necropolis, the undead, etc. And we have created a cosmogony, a history, a geography that give us a frame in which we can create a lot of content, but with logical rules. Like for instance, when we want to say in our world we would like to have gnolls, like creature that look like hyenas. They don't fit our world directly, but we have a way to say, hey, we have in our world something called the Beastmen that were created by the wizards by mixing animals and human captives. So if we mix human criminals and hyenas, we have something that look like a gnoll, that we could call a gnoll, that would make sense in our universe. So let's add gnolls to our universe by doing that. So that's basically how we proceed. We have created all the systems and the rules, and now we can add content, but it always makes sense.
Okay, so you've been given a fair amount of creative freedom in conjunction with what fans kind of want and ask for. How much input did the fans actually have in your kind of creative process?
Originally, not too much, because we knew only like 2 or 3 of them maybe. It took us a couple of years to get into contact with all the community leaders, the guys who had written wikis about the Might and Magic universes, the moders. And then when we got to know them better, we even hired one of them to become one of our creative minds within the Might and Magic team. So he's working day to day with us, and he's like the living encyclopedia of the Might and Magic world, including the ancient lore. And with him, we sit down and brainstorm about, is there something from the old universe that we could keep and refresh and adapt to the world of Ashan? And most of the time it's yes, let's do it like that. And we now have this VIP fan forum in which we can propose the idea to the fan. And sometimes they would say, oh yes, cool, do it. And sometimes they would say, oh no, it's a betrayal of what it used to be, so please avoid it. So we take this feedback into account. We now have 30 to 40 people who can really give us their opinion. So and they are voices of the community. Sometimes they speak really for themselves, as fans themselves. But sometimes, the most senior among them say, this is the opinion of the people I'm being in contact with on an everyday basis. So this is maybe not my personal opinion, but I can guarantee you that people out there will react like this to your innovation.
So do you find that in the wider field, the fans can be hard to please sometimes? I mean, they've got their own personal ideas, what they would like. You have to kind of draw a line somewhere in terms of pleasing what they want and again what you want to do as well. How hard or easy is it to kind of get that balance?
It's really not easy, and again we've been doing that for 8 years, and I would say that it's only now that we are doing it quite right. So it took us some time and some mistakes on our part and to do it. Basically, it's important when you are working with a very active and verbal fans to understand one thing. 10 fans can have 10 different visions of what is canonical, and so even themselves are not united with a single vision of what the game should be in terms of game design, gameplay, universe lore, artistic direction. They have conflicting ideas. On our end, it's very important to come with a vision, a clear vision that is decided between ourselves, so the creative teams in the studios with the projects, and us, let's say the creative representatives of the IP at Ubisoft. So we sit together, we discuss the general vision of the game. We say we agree that this is good and this fits our own requirements. Now we have a strong vision, let's present it to the fans, but we really have to be ready to modify it or accept criticism. That's the main thing. There may be a unanimous negative reaction to some of the things we propose, and we have to reconsider our vision based on that. What would not do is go to the fans and say, hey, what is the game that you want to do or have, and we'll do it for you. Yeah. That would not work.
Yeah. It'd be a never-ending.
Yeah, it's a never-ending process, and you will satisfy a portion of the fan community, and you will alienate totally another portion, and yourself, your team will not be united against the vision. So it's hard.
Yeah. I spoke to you in London recently about the Might and Magic X Legacy, and how in that particular game you were striving for multiple interface controller support, keyboard and mouse support. Does that same rule apply to this expansion? Will you have controller support for that as well?
No. For this one, it's the classic Heroes PC experience. It would be very hard to play it like in a console, even with a controller. So we never have considered it. For Might Magic 10, it's something we're talking about, and we think it's doable, but it has to be tested and approved by the production team. So when the game is supposed to be released, I don't have a answer on that. But for Heroes, it was we tried to do it once. It was at the time when Heroes 6 was still in development. We studied the possibility, prototyped a console version of it. It was really not a good game. Controls are awkward. The console experience is not turn-based movement on the adventure map with several heroes and towns to manage. So if we were one day to do a console version of Might Magic Heroes, it would be an adaptation and a different game.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be one of my other questions, was to ask you about there are other games, similar kind of point and click and kind of that style PC game that have made the transition to console, but as you say, they have to adapt to the console audience. I mean, how difficult would that be to bring this particular series to the console audience?
I think
to create a kind of bespoke game just for that audience.
The shooters were very successful in shifting from PC to consoles. Even some classic RPGs, I am thinking of Dragon Age, like party RPGs with some pose or turn-based mechanics included, were successful on console as well. I'm not even speaking of the Elder Scrolls that really exploded on console. But with our game, I think, with Heroes especially, a console version would have to deal with really two negative things that we have to avoid. There was not a single successful strategy game on console, maybe apart from Pikmin. I mean, I think it's because when I sit on the couch and I play on the console, I don't want to micromanage everything. Even RTSs, which are real-time and furious, would not do good on console. We've tried it at Ubisoft with N-War. It was not so big of a success, and the fact that the Heroes experience is turn-based even on the adventure map, which means you have to for some players, it's really hard to get into this frame of mind when you finish movement, you don't have any movement point left. You have to click on a button to refresh it. That's really board game / PC experience. A console version of Heroes would be certainly less strategic and real time, at least on the adventure mat, even if the combats, like in Pokemon, remain turn-based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a possibility, but not. It's kind of not practical.
Yeah.
You'd lose some of the essence of
Exactly.
of the basic
so,
game.
It would be a different game. So if we go on console, I think it would better. Our main idea would be more to say, how could Might Magic be interesting on console? Might Magic in general. So what kind of console games we could do with Might Magic that would fit the IP and the DNA of the brand, etc. Rather than let's do our Heroes on console, try to force it like I don't know what the expression, the square pegs and round hole, or other way around, but yeah.
But would you agree that the console market is a huge market nowadays, and
exactly,
if you could get that franchise onto the console market, then that'd be good business.
Players and people from the press and ourselves, for instance, when we play Assassin's Creed 3 or Far Cry 3, we imagine creatures from Machan in this setting with this, free roaming world sandbox experience, and we're like, oh yeah, that would be great. So yeah, of course, we are considering every day at Ubisoft the possibility for Might Magic to go in the console market, but we have to find the right studio, right project, right business model. So it's there's a lot of things to explore before we could go and officialize that, greenlight such a project.